So one of my favorite things about teaching is that the world provides endless opportunities for me to use examples to teach life principles. I've been thinking a lot about the free market and finance and developing businesses and whatnot. I've also been thinking a lot about relationships and getting into long-term relationships or dating someone initially. As a teenager, I had all the issues where I felt like I was the nice guy and I was finishing last, and if only the girls knew what kind of guy I really was, they'd see the value in me and want to be with me. I've talked a little bit recently in some of my posts about how a relationship, again, it's like buying something on the free market. Now, if I were to go to Standard Plumbing Supply or whatever over there, or Taco Bell, and I don't buy a certain item, it's not because that item doesn't have value. If I go to the plumbing store and don't buy a toilet, it's not because toilets are not good. It's because I don't need a toilet. Or perhaps I'm in a situation where I can't afford a new toilet, even if I want one, right? Now, as someone who has kids who clog things in toilets, I might need toilets more often than most people. But anyways, what the problem is a lot of people feel like they're not valued, and especially younger people or people who are just getting into dating. As a young teenage boy, I felt like girls didn't see the value in who I was, and I even was broken up with once by a girl who said that basically I was husband material and she wasn't wanting to get in a relationship like that at that point in her life. It was really hard for me to take that, because at the end of the day it was me going, well, I've not done anything wrong, I'm just more than you want to invest in at the moment, and that didn't make sense to me for a long time. And as I'm sitting here, I was thinking about what people have to go through in order to buy a new vehicle. Now, I love Porsches. Porsches are probably my favorite cars by themselves out there. However, I don't drive a Porsche right now. Is it because I don't want to be with a Porsche, or I don't want to drive a Porsche? No, I'm just not financially stable enough in this moment to buy a Porsche. Does that mean, again, I'm rejecting the Porsche? No. So emotions and finances are very similar. So if I'm emotionally unstable to the point where I feel like, hey, you know what, because of who I am or where I am emotionally, I don't think I can commit to a long-term relationship, it's very similar to saying because of where I am financially, I can't commit to a long-term loan or a high monthly payment or whatever it is, the analogy you want to use in a car or a home or a new TV, whatever it is. And think about the reason why most people default on loans and why most people default on their marriage or get divorced. It's because they came in unprepared to make the proper sacrifices in their life, or they weren't emotionally prepared enough to be willing to do the work necessary to keep that loan or that marriage intact. Now, I could go out and buy a car right now. I could go out and, well, assuming I could qualify, I could go out and buy a Porsche right now. But then after a few months, I might default on my loan. I might not be able to make my payments. However, if I went out and bought that Porsche tomorrow and then said, what do I need to do to make this work, even though maybe I jumped into it before I should have, I say, what do I need to do to make this work? I go, okay, I got to get a night job. I got to do this. I got to, get rid of these payments. I got to get rid of all these other things. Am I willing to do that to keep my Porsche? I don't know. Are you willing to do what you need to do to keep the relationship that you have? If you're struggling, if there are things in your marriage or your life, or whether it's a family member or your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, whatever it is, you might be ready to default on that relationship. Are you ready to go and get that second job? Are you ready to sacrifice getting fast food? Are you ready to sacrifice having cable TV? Whatever it is that is going to help you financially or emotionally be stable enough to remain in that relationship or in that loan, whatever it is you want to use for this analogy. But next time you're thinking about your relationship or where you are, think about it in terms of finances. And if you're not financially where you need to be right now, rather than lose that car, decide what you need to do to change things around. Because if you want it bad enough, you can keep it. I know a lot of us get into a marriage or get into a relationship before we're ready, and then kids show up. Are you going to just say, well, I wasn't ready? Or are you going to decide to change things in your life, do things differently, and make it work? Something to think about.